The year is 1900, December 7th. The port of Bresclade, on the Isle of Lewis, is bustling with activity as 3 men prepare for their journey to the remote Flannan Isles. A small boat bobs in the icy waters, ready to ferry them to the lighthouse they will call home for weeks. The 3 men exchange brief goodbyes with the dock workers. Supplies are loaded, including oil for the lamp, food, and tools for repairs. Their small boat sets off, crossing the frigid waters. The sky is clear, the sea calm, but the chill in the air cuts to the bone. The mainland shrinking behind them. Hours later, the jagged silhouette of Eilean Mòr emerges from the horizon. A stark, lonely place where the lighthouse stands like a guardian against the wild sea. The men climb the slippery path to the tower, hauling their supplies. They check the equipment, light the lamp, and settle in. From the tower window, they watch the boat disappear into the distance, leaving them alone with the roar of the waves and the endless wind. For the first few days, life on the island is routine. The lighthouse functions as it should. The men work in silence, eat their meals, and keep the lamp burning. But something feels off. The isolation weighs heavy, and the sea seems louder than usual. By the 5th day, the weather turns. Fierce winds tear across the island, battering the lighthouse. Waves crash against the cliffs, sending spray high into the air. Thomas Marshall records the storm in the logbook. Terrible weather. Storm relentless. Cannot leave the tower. The men stay inside, huddled near the fire. Marshall notices something unsettling. Ducat very quiet. McArthur crying. Never seen him like this before. McArthur, known for his resilience, seems on edge, his usual bravado gone. Ducat sits in silence, staring into the flames. The storm howls outside. December 13th. The storm grows worse. The west landing is hit hard, with boulders and debris scattered across the platform. Chains securing heavy equipment are torn from their anchors, twisted and useless. The men gather by the window, watching the horizon. In the distance, faint green lights flicker and shift. They move in patterns that make no sense. No one speaks. The storm continues to rage, and the strange lights disappear into the night. December 14th. The storm begins to ease, but the tension among the men does not. Marshall writes again. Lights seen over the sea. Strange, green, moving like a serpent. Ducat won't speak. Something is wrong. God help us. Ducat avoids eye contact, his face pale and drawn. Marshall tries to hold everything together, but even he feels the weight of something he cannot explain. That night, the wind drops to a dead calm. The sea, once a roaring beast, lies still and glassy under the dark sky. December 15th, the final day. The morning dawns unnaturally quiet. The men begin inspecting the damage from the storm. Marshall and Ducat take their oilskins and head to the west, Landon to assess the destruction. McArthur stays behind, tending the fire and keeping watch. As the 2 men work near the cliffs, a rogue wave rises, a massive wall of water. It crashes over the platform with a force that shakes the ground. McArthur hears the roar and rushes outside, forgetting his coat in his haste. This is the most popular theory for what happened. But to this day, it remains a mystery what really took place on Eilean Mòr. December 26th. When the Hesperus arrives at Eilean Mòr, the crew knows something is wrong. The lighthouse is dark, and no one greets them at the jetty. Inside the tower, everything is eerily normal. The fire is out, the table set with uneaten food, and beds neatly made. One oilskin hangs on its hook. The others are gone. The logbook lies open, its last entry reading, "Storm ended, sea calm, God is over all." The crew searches the island, combing the cliffs and crevices. On the west landing, they find twisted iron railings and scattered debris, but no sign of the keepers. Not a single trace of them remains. What happened to Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald McArthur remains one of the greatest mysteries in maritime history. Theories abound, but none fully explain the strange and contradictory evidence left behind on Eilean Mòr. The most popular explanation is the rogue wave theory. The twisted iron railings and displaced boulders on the west landing suggest that a massive wave could have struck with devastating force, sweeping all three men into the sea. Rogue waves, while rare, are powerful enough to displace hundreds of kilos of stone and destroy even the strongest structures. But why were all three men outside, breaking strict protocol? At least one man should have remained inside the lighthouse. And if two men were inspecting the damage, why would McArthur, known for his discipline, have rushed out without his oilskin? Could he really have heard a cry for help above the roar of the wind and waves? Such a decision seems unlikely for a man with years of maritime experience. Then there are the unsettling entries in the logbook. Marshall described storms that were relentless and terrible. Yet weather reports from the mainland indicated calm and clear conditions during those same days. Was this a localized storm? Or did the men misperceive their surroundings, perhaps under the strain of isolation and fear? And what of the green lights? Marshall described them as moving like a serpent over the sea. Were they reflections, natural phenomena, or something else entirely? The lights were never explained, but their appearance clearly unsettled the keepers. The logbook also recorded a growing tension among the men. McArthur was seen crying, not once, but twice. Ducat became withdrawn and pale. These were not normal behaviors for experienced lighthouse keepers, especially so close to the end of their rotation. What could have driven them to such a state? Was it the storm, the lights, or something unseen that eroded their resolve? The Flannan Isles were long steeped in folklore, with tales of the little folk and otherworldly beings that protected the islands. Could the green lights and eerie calm recorded in the logbook have fueled superstitions among the men, leading to panic and irrational actions? Or were the legends simply stories, twisted over time to fill the void of an unsolved mystery? Why did no bodies wash ashore? Even in the icy waters of the North Atlantic, bodies typically surface eventually, yet nothing was ever found. The final log entry adds an almost poetic sense of foreboding. Storm ended, sea calm, God is over all. Was this a moment of peace after the storm, or a resignation to an unseen fate? The uneaten food and neatly made beds suggested a sudden interruption, as though the men had been called away by something urgent. To this day, Eilean Mòr remains shrouded in mystery. The roaring sea and the winds that once carried their voices now carry only questions. Even today, the lighthouse stands, automated and silent, a solitary guardian in a place of whispers and shadows. What happened to the 3 men of Eilean Mòr? The sea keeps its secrets, and so does the island.